Hello, and I'm in another part of the wood today, and I've got my festival hat on. Given that it was Glastonbury at the weekend, I thought it would be quite apt. I didn't buy it at Glastonbury. I bought it at another festival some time ago, but I have been to Glastonbury a long time ago, in sort of 78, 79, when it was a much smaller affair. I think there was only about, 24,000 people there, I think. But there was that sense of collectiveness still. We were all there for the same purpose. And although there may be, hundreds of thousands of people at Glastonbury, probably this year, there is still that sense of collectiveness. Everybody is there for the same reason. Everybody is there to listen to the music. And everybody moves together and reacts together to that music, as we've seen, particularly this year. But then also everybody's in their own groups, and they're all reacting with each other, and then they might be talking to groups next door to them. So there's an awful lot of activity going on, and then the individuals will be getting up and they will be going to get water or food or queuing for the loo. And I couldn't help thinking, as I'm standing in here, that this must be a great place for somebody to come after all that noise and excitement and everything from Glastonbury, that they can come here to the forest and just be in the quiet and the still. But the question is it that still? I have a sneaking suspicion that if we could actually hear all the activity that is going on right now, that it would pretty much deafen Glastonbury. Because if you think about it, as I'm standing here, this old tree, it's pulling up nutrients from the soil through all the little filaments in its bark, and it's going all the way up, if I can do that, all the way up to the top, into the canopy, into all the leaves, and it's rushing through the leaves and it's giving them what they need. And then the leaves are photosynthesizing up there and taking what they need from the air and the light, and pulling it down into the tree and into the roots. And each tree is doing that. And then you've got the birds and the flying insects humming and singing and all their song. And then on the floor itself, you've got all the insects moving around and rustling in the leaves. And then you've got the deer, and round here you've also got the boar making their noises and walking through. You've got foxes, you've got rabbits, you've got all these other animals doing their thing on the surface. And then you go underneath the soil, and you've got the worms, you've got the millipedes, you've got the centipedes, and they're all racing around. Well, maybe not racing as in that sense, but they are all under the earth. They are moving around in the soil, they are breaking down the soil, they are releasing the nutrients, and the trees are pulling it up through their roots. And then there's the fungi. So there's a hell of a lot of activity going on here, which, like I say, if we could hear, we could be deafened. But we don't. We just have that feeling when we come in to the woods of peace, of grounding. Why is that? Why is that? Well, partly that's due to the fact that while the trees are doing all the things that they need to do for themselves, they are sending out phytochemicals which we can breathe in. And this affects the levels of serotonin, which is sort of like the happiness hormone, or whatever they call it. That affects the serotonin in us. And then our stress hormone as well is affected. So our cortisol is reduced just by being here and walking in here. It's relaxing. But there's a whole sort of subculture going on in here called the wood wide web, which has been in existence for 500 million years, which is a figure that I just can't imagine that kind of time. But these old trees will have seen a lot more time than me, maybe, but 500 million years. And this wood wide web is a web underneath the soil. It is connections between the trees and the fungi, so that it's also a way of all the plants getting what they want, the nutrients and things they need to survive. And it's been now scientifically sort of seen and proven that if there is a diseased tree or a tree is cut down, then there is a difference to the nutrients around that tree, and they increase because trees around the affected tree, through the mycelium and the fungi, are transferring nutrients to the tree to help it. So this is a whole other world that we're now finding out about that exists, so that we are not the only people that are connected and can come together like Glastonbury and connect with each other. All the trees in this wood, all the plants are connecting with each other. They are giving each other what they need to collectively survive. And they've been doing that for 500 million years. It's quite a thought, really, isn't it? We are just a little speck. And when you think of it like that, all our disagreements at the moment and our intolerances are just not worth the effort, are they? Because for 500 million years, there's been something completely different going on around here that's been successful, and hopefully will continue to be successful. And maybe that's why we have such an affinity with trees. If you think about the outpouring of grief when the Sycamore Gap tree was felled, I mean, it's just a sycamore. Although the Egyptians were quite fond of sycamores, they felt that a sycamore tree was sort of like the gateway to the afterlife. So a lot of coffins were made from sycamore. But as far as we're concerned, it's not a particularly special tree, but that one was. Its location and the outpouring of grief and emotion for that one tree was surprising. And it just goes to show how strong our connection with nature is if we allow it. So I'm going to continue my little walk while the air is so beautifully cool and breathe in all those phytochemicals before I go back to my desk. Have a good day and keep cool.